Howdy y'all, the JTJ here with RollToWound.com. This is part 1 of the Lone Star GT Tournament Battle Report. Let's get ready to roll. Alright, so I'm fully painted, fully packed up, getting ready to head to Dallas, and yeah, it's so I started my dock army, or started the journey towards my order army right around the end of November, and we've come here a couple months later. I've got the display board finished, which was, it seemed like a monumental task. I tried to do a somewhat simple display board, but it seemed like everything that I did, just something went a little wrong, and I had to redo it, or I had to rethink my process. And we'll check that out here in a second. My army's painted to a good quality tabletop standard. I don't think that it's going to win any golden demons, but I'm okay with it. It looks fine on the table. Went with a darker theme with my daughters, sort of like more of a Keltnar inspired, and because that's sort of what I wanted to run anyway. As far as personally, my outlook on daughters, it's a fun army to play. It has such massive damage potential, but it is a huge glass cannon. I personally feel I need about 15 or 20 more good competitive games with it to really have a good, be more confident with it. Because it is such a glass cannon that you find yourself in a lot of situations where if you don't pre-plan, you don't think ahead, you don't have that extra step of thought, you can get yourself in trouble. And I think my win-loss record over the last couple months has reflected that with it. Um, I'm not even 500 in competitive sense with it. It seems like all my casual games that I roll the opponents, but when we get to the tabletop, no matter who I'm playing, it's always a close or a hard game. Therefore, I'm going for 3 wins at this tournament. That's what I always shoot for at a GT. I just want to get 3 wins, and I'm super happy with it. If you can make 4, that's great. But I don't consider myself one of those top table players, and so I'm hoping for 3 wins. Hopefully, I get lucky. I get some rolls and stuff go my way, and get some Masters points for the Lone Star. It's also going to be great to see all the people from around the state. That's one of the reasons that our tournament scene for AOS in Texas is so good, is because all the cities know we all know the principal players. We all know the guys that have been in the AOS scene from each city for the last couple of years. So it's always fun to go up there and meet them. You'll get to play a couple of them probably. We'll go out to dinner. We'll have some drinks and things like that. So it's a real nice community. There's a lot of smack talking. I'm not really a huge smack talker because I always figured that if I'm winning very handily, someone else is having a bad day, and I don't like to talk smack and then lose. So I try to keep my smack talking to a minimum. But if you're on some of the Discord groups and hear some of the stuff the guys talk, it's always fun. It's always friendly, and this should be a real fun event. I've got some models I'm bringing for the painting competition. Hopefully I do well there. Hopefully I make the top 20 cut for painting for my daughter's army. There's a top 20 cut that's going to go to a second, I guess, a second judging, and that'll be good. That's sort of what I'm shooting for there, just making the top 20. There's 100 people I think going to the tournament, so top 20%. I can't be mad about that. But all in all, when we go to these GTs, I say. So going back, I always have sort of a personal goal, and usually in most armies, I can find something fun like, hey, I'm playing Nagash, I'm going to try to hand of dust a couple guys, or I think with I forgot what it was with my Soul Blight, but I've come up with, it was kind of hard to do with this army other than, hey, I destroyed X amount of models or something, and I don't really want all that paperwork. So I think that I'm going to go with um, keep keep my battle line alive for 3 games. So get my grand strategy 3 out of the 5 games. So that's what I'm going with. I started to go Marathi stays alive for 3 games. If Marathi stays alive for 3 games, there's a good possibility you win those 3 games. But I think I'm going to go with battle line, grand strategy for 3 out of the 5 games. So that's what I'm going with. That's my personal goal, and we'll see if I can do that. Um, so that's pretty much it for my pre-thoughts of the tournament. We'll go into the list review right now, and then I'll show you the army, and we'll get to the game number 1. All right, so if you've been following the channel, I've been running a similar or the same list for a good couple months now. So you've seen the same thing, but those of you who have not seen it, I'm going to go over it real quick. We're running Keltnar. Gavin and a lot of the guys, see, you tell me I should run Keltnar. Hagnar, and I love Hagnar, and I think that 8 times, if you're running Hagnar, there's no one going to bat an eye. It's a good temple to run. I'm running Keltnar because of 3 reasons. One, I don't want to get locked into an unadvantageous combat with Marathi or anyone else for that matter. So I want to be able to retreat and charge. That was probably my number one thing. The number two is I get a circling flock command trait, which gives me the 3 harpies that can come in from deep strike, which are very, very helpful in general. Coming in and just locking something down, putting a screen up, taking a back objective. Maybe there's a hero or a caster with like 1 wound left. Maybe they can drop in and finish that guy off. So I love the utility of circling flock. And the command trait's pretty good too, allowing me to reflect back once to hit. I will say that I don't get to use it a lot because my list feels very CP hungry a lot because you're already casting one for, your Marathi's using her 1 CP every time. You need to save one for a battle shock. You need to save one for a reroll charge. So this list feels very CP hungry. Grand strategy is hold the line. I think that's pretty much the only thing I could have gone with this. There's not like a lot of options. I only have 1 caster Marathi, and so the units. I think that's the way to go. Triumph is expired. Iron Scale. I went with her over the caster. I ran the caster for a while. And I like the spells. I like the utility of having extra unbinds, extra casts. It makes it nice. There's a lot of utility there. And, if I wasn't trying to go with a 1-drop, I might even take out the Ishling Guard to put the Medusa in there. But the Iron Scale is doing a couple things. It's a little bit more survivable. It's a little bit more, combat oriented, which I don't want her in combat anyway. But her command ability, the command ability is Wrath of the Scathborn or something. I'm mispronouncing it, guys. Kill me in the comments. Basically, I can make my blood sisters are stalkers, but this will be the sisters be able to run and charge, and they can run and charge 2d. They can run 2d6, so that gives them at minimum like a 12-inch movement, so a 15-inch threat range, basically for a charge. However, if you get the reroll 1s to run, so your threat range should be closer to 18 or 19 at constant, all the time. So they can keep up with Marathi pretty well, and it's a pretty good combo to run Marathi and the Blood Sisters in because they're going to get that extra attack from Marathi being it, or the Shadow Queen being in combat as well. So that's sort of why I take the Iron Scale. Marathi Khaine, we all know what she does. She's a good caster, good spells. The spells, they go off about 50% of the time. Mind Razor, which she knows all of the lore. I just put Mind Razor because that's what I would take if I didn't have but one choice. Mind Razor, I think that the math says that it's better on the Blood Sisters because that will give them like with Marathi in combat, it's like 80 damage or something, like max potential. Shadow Queen is a little less, but of course that is a situational thing where you have to look and say, do I rather have Mind Razor on Shadow Queen or the Blood Sisters? Either way, depending on what you're going up against, it's a good option. She's basically there to cast spells and to sort of buff, and the double shooting with the Stalkers, or the double attack with the Shadow Queen if somebody is in your face. Shadow Queen's there to do her business. Basically, you use her to lock things down, and that's one of the biggest things that I'm still learning is when to apply her and lock things down. I made a big mistake in last tournament not locking some giants down, some mega gargants. Probably should do that. But I'm always very cautious. I want to keep her alive. I don't want my Shadow Queen and Marathi to die turn 2. It's not bad. I mean, if you could do enough damage in 2 turns, it's fine. But more than likely, if they go down by the end of turn 2, you're going to have an uphill battle for the rest of the game for sure. So she's there just to be a hammer. It does good damage when she does what she's supposed to do, but I found almost just like running a vampire lord on zombie dragon. You look at the attack profile, you go, man, this should be 15 or 20 wounds to something, and then they go up there and put 1 or 2 wounds on something. So that has happened with the Shadow Queen. Just know that profile on paper and me rolling dice are two different matters. But she's fast, and I'm using her to lock things down, using her to buff the Blood Sisters as well. Blood Sisters, I ran Witch Elves in this spot a while back. I think the Sisters just hit so much harder. Like I said, you're looking at a potential of 80 wounds, probably closer to 50, depending on what you're running into. And of course, they have Crystal Touch as well. So if they live through the return swings, the Crystal Touch is beautiful, especially if there's like 8 or 10 of them alive. It's really, really nice. There are 2 wounds each. I think the Blood Sisters are a great inclusion into any doc list. Even if you took them in units of 5, they hit kind of hard. Obviously, they're like the rest of everything in the book. They're a glass cannon. You got to protect them. You got to make sure that they're swinging before the Shadow Queen, things like that. 15 Bloodstalkers, that's standard for most lists. I know some people run 10. You can run a unit of 15. Some people run 2 units of 10. That's a lot of your damage output is coming from, and you kind of got to protect them, which I do with the Witch Elves with the paired Sacrificial Knives. So I have 1 unit of 20. It could be argued to take 2 units of 10. I think that's a valid argument. And the paired Sacrificial Knives, I just don't have the ones with bucklers built and painted. If I did, I probably would run them just because of the extra, save and the reflections, because they're basically just a meat shield, and having those reflections would be very helpful. So I didn't paint them. I don't have them built and ready in time, and that's fine. I mean, the Sacrificial Knives are nice because it's more damage output, and it does come in handy occasionally, but in general, I think the bucklers are the way to go if you're using your Witch Elves for a more of a screen. The Ishleyan Guard have been added in here. And you could do a lot of things with this spot. You have, you got 155 points, and you could put more Witch Elves in. You could put another small unit of, of Sisters or things like that. But I think the Ishleyan Guard have a lot of utility in the list, and I really like them. Their oval footprint kind of shields off a good 6 or 7 inches, or sometimes if you can get them positioned right, even 8. They're fast. They can keep up a Marathi. So if I want Marathi and them to work together, and they can actually eat an Overwatch, basically having a 3-up unrendable armor save on the charge. So they have a ton of utility. I tend to use them to get to accomplish battle tactics a lot. They're there to do things that I don't want my damage dealers wasting their time on. So I've liked the inclusion of them in the army. I think they've worked out well. All right, so we get down to the bottom. We got 1990 points, 106 wounds, slightly deceiving. I get an extra 5 wounds from the Harpies, and Marathi could account for 5 or 10, maybe, possibly. The only thing that's off on this is I didn't include the Ishleyan Guard as allies, so there should be 155 points on that. It is a 1-drop, and that's what I'm working with. So let me know. I'll let you guys know how this goes. As we go through the tournament, let me know what you think about this. Would you have run Keltnar? Would you have run Hagnar? Let me know in the comments. Tell me if there's another temple that you think that this list would work better in, or how you would like to change it, or what you would switch out. So that being said, let's look at the models. All right, so here is the finished display board. Kind of a desert theme. See if we can see in there. I've got some lights. They're supposed to be pulsating from the inside, and they're kind of weak on the camera. You can see them a little bit. There we go. It's a little bit better view. So the sort of the fountains and the doorway, that was a 3D print I bought off eBay. It was a good seller, so I'll leave that link in the description to their products. They printed them out and shipped them to me. It's got a desert theme. That's kind of what I'm going for my daughters. So that's kind of where we went. I guess the theory is there's a temple buried in, you know, deep in the desert, and they have their fountains outside, so weary travelers that are going through and see the water, they go to fill up their canteens and their water flasks, and then they get sort of abducted and pulled into the temple, and, you know, get handled by the daughters and turn to crystal and all the other crazy stuff that the daughters like to do to people. So this is the display board, so let's look at it with the army on it. Alright, so here's the final setup with all the models in place. It's still torn. I'm putting the Ishlan Guard out for display since they contrast so much, but here's what we got. Alright guys, we're at game one. Excuse the bad lighting. It like literally gave us the darkest table in the entire tournament. I'm here with Chris, and hopefully he's coming in clear. And if you've watched the channel, he's been on the channel talking about his Soul Blight. So we're going Soul Blight turn one. I have highly debated letting him go first, because if I get a double turn, that's great. If I don't, it's not. And I think I'm going to take the first turn, so I'm just getting my guaranteed 7 points. He's got 2 units in outflank. He's Castelli, he's got Vordry and a Zombie Dragon. So if he gets the double turn into this, it's going to be pretty horribly bad. So that's where we're at, and we're gonna play it and take some points. So I decided to take the first turn, basically to go ahead and get my 7 points for holding the objectives, to completing a battle tactic. I got Mirror Dance off, and I got Mind Razor off on Morathi. I moved her up within 9 because there was a possibility he only had 23 models on his center objective. If I'd have made the 9-inch charge, I could have possibly went over there and killed enough zombies to take it, and that was worth a gamble. Sort of got Morathi. She's not in a bad position where she at anyway. I screened everything in the back. I did bring my Harpies in for an extra wall because he does have the 2 units. Hit Gorslav with Black Horror. Got 1 mortal wound through, and then Morathi gazed at him and finished him off. Killed a bat and a half and killed 2 dogs with shooting. So not a lot of damage output, more just get points and hope that I don't die this turn. And Chris doesn't get the double turn, and then I die then. Moving into Soul Blight turn 1. Alright, so Chris's turn. He brought in all his knights out there, failed some charges to come over here. He did move his bats up, but if he'd have made a charge, he would have ended up taking that point because he would have killed somebody here. He failed Vordry's charge. I redeployed. I got a 6 on a redeploy, and I was able to redo my line a little bit. The Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon came in, wiped the Witch Elves. So this is where we're at, and I need a double turn or not a double turn. I just need to win the priority because that's important.
I need the double turn.
Now there it is, a 6-5. Hallelujah! Thank you, Khaine and the Blood Gods, because it would be so bad if that didn't happen. All right, going into Doc turn 2. Okay, so my turn went. I can't complain. I took this Slayer's General, Slayer's Warlord, the Vampire Lord right there. Double shot, Black Horror. I put the Withering on it. All my casting went off. I had Mind Razor on this unit of the sisters there. They were the ones, we got him down between all magic and shooting down to 3 wounds. The sisters were able to come in with Mind Razor and finish him off. I'm telling you what, a finest hour, Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon is super resilient. As far as points went, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I managed to get 5 points this turn. And the only thing bad is I lost the Ishland Guard. I had a gamble on that. I probably should have not gambled, but the up was if I would have rolled enough 3 pluses, Vordry would have been locked his turn. It was pretty close, so didn't happen. Shooting over here didn't happen, and I didn't charge in because I was too scared those fell bats would kill my harpies. So going into Soul Blight turn 2. All right, so Chris had a pretty solid turn. Wiped out he took aggressive expansion, right? For the 2 center points, got that. Took out the harpies that were over here. Got Dance Macabre. The big thing is he got double Decreptify on Marathi, or Shadow Queen. He charged in with Vordry and the Knights. Vordry took out 7 of the sisters. However, I was able to pile, basically between a bunch of piling shenanigans that we both did, they didn't get a second, the Knights didn't get to swing on them. Marathi's not engaged. The Wolves got Dance Macabre, so they were able to basically piled in one way, then piled in another. So that's where we're at. And if you notice the board right now, yeah, so got to win this roll-off or it's going to be pretty close to a table for me. All right, I got it. So now we're back in it. The only thing I wish is those Wolves weren't there. I'd feel a lot better. But we're going to have to get rid of the Wolves first. Chris, you get it's turn 3, so you can burn in one of the center points if you want. All right, guys, so my turn, it's not the worst thing ever. It was a lot better a second ago. So destroyed the Dire Wolves that were right here to kill a battle line. I did it with Marathi shooting, so I was able to get an extra CP, but I wasn't able to take any points. I did make a huge mistake because I didn't see that this was here, so we had to rework some stuff with shooting. Originally, I had killed a bunch of Blood Knights here with all my shooting with the bow snakes, but where my angle was, I didn't realize that those Blood Knights were actually in combat, so we just sort of redid it and put the wounds over there. I charged these snakes over. Marathi did killed 1 Blood Knight or something, and these snakes did, they killed 1 Blood Knight as well, and then they killed 1 back. 1 was killed in return.
Marathi killed
and Vordry did the 3 wounds to Marathi. We're going into Soul Blight, turn 3. All right, you want to talk through this, Chris? What happened this turn?
Failed all my spells except for Mystic Shield. I did bring back 5 dogs at the end of Battle Shock phase during your turn.
Yep.
They ran up, grabbed this, stayed on this objective, shifted some stuff over here. Vordry backed off so he wouldn't die and lose that objective. I moved up my Blood Knights, did my retreating and mortal wounds on stuff that I could. Went to do the big charge to eliminate this squad of Snake Ladies and rolled double 1s. But I charged with my bats and these other 2 Blood Knights, and they survived. So,
yep,
I survived to at least another shooting phase, maybe.
Yep, and we're gonna roll for the priority into 4, and it stays with me. My goodness, Khaine is with me. They call time. We're finishing up our turn 4. The only thing I could do, I had a horrible shooting down here, and I miscast on magic, so Marathi didn't even cast any spells. I miscast my first cast. It took me everything I had to get rid of the 2 fell bats and the 2 or 1 Blood Knight off of that, so I really didn't do any damage here. The whole point was for me to go and take his point. I made a 10-inch charge because he got a 6 on a redeploy, and then Marathi took out the zombies. He was able to bring them back because he rolled a 6, but they did come a little bit far out, so I did take the point. So I got 5 and plus my battle attack 6-7, right? Because Conquer isn't done with a monster. You don't get an extra point, correct?
Right.
All right, so he's going to go through his turn real quick, and then we'll see what he can do for points. More than likely, we're going to talk it and see what ends up happening for this one. It might end up being a game. All right, so we finished up the turn. He was able to get in. I did a redeploy. I got 3 inches, so it kept Vordry out, and it was close rolls with the other units. If I'd have rolled probably a 4 or a 5, man, I could have got out of that combat and shut him down this turn. It would have been great. However, he took 11 points this turn, so the final score is
33 for me and 26 for you.
33-26.
Grand strategy, right?
I did not. You killed the last battle line.
Okay, so
which brings me to my next point. I need to keep my battle line alive for 2 games.
So then it would be 23. 23 to 23.
All right, so we're finishing up, and we'll see if we can get any other battle texts to talk about. Well, round 1 was a close round. We're setting up our display boards for it. Well, it was close, but then points-wise, I ended up losing by 10. It's fine. Fun game. I'm glad I got to play Chris. He's actually been on the channel before. He's a good dude, good soul block player. He usually does really well at these tournaments. So I'm happy. If I got to lose to somebody that I like. Got the display board set up. They're coming around for judging, and now it is lunchtime. All right, so game 1 was a loss, but like I said, I got to play Chris. If you're a Soulbot player, check out the video we did with him after, I believe it was Dallas that we talked to. I had him on, and he's a strong Castle player. He ended up finishing, I believe, I think he got 3 wins in the tournament, and yeah, there was some swings in that game. One of the things I want to address, because some people probably watching it didn't understand, why did Marathi go across the board and try to take out the zombies in that one turn? Basically, for me, not holding those center 2 objectives, already knew the points disparity. The only way I could get back in the game was to go get his 4-point home point and take out those zombies. That was the only thing that was reasonable, because if I tried to take either one of the single ones, it would just not have been enough points to get me back in it. As far as my tactics going first, I had just played Christopher, I want to say it the week before, on the same map with a very similar army, and I decided to let him go first, and he just stayed in the back, got his tactics, and didn't even move up really and do anything, and I ended up losing that game. So I said, well, maybe switch it up, and I'll go first, get pushed up a little bit, so at least I'm in a better shooting position, that if he stayed back, I could target more. If he moved up, I'd be in a good zone. As you saw that going into turn 2, if I would have lost priority going into turn 2, I would have been tabled. Probably everybody but Marathi would have been dead at that point. So that was a real lucky roll just to keep me in game. And basically every turn, me just keeping the priority with myself is what kept me alive for as long as it was. I never felt that I was in control of that game. I always felt that I was on a back foot. I had lucky rolls go my way. So at the end of the day, I was glad I came out with as many points as I did, because this GT has a cumulative point score, and it's just allowing you to, even if you're losing, you want to complete all your tactics and you want to get as many points as you can, because that'll adjust your placings as you go on. So, more learning for me. I am not done very well against Soul Blight with the daughters. Maybe that's Nagash telling me, hey, you should have stuck around and played with zombies and not snakes. But it's all right. Good game, and going into game number 2.
game 2, and I said a while ago I had the darkest table in the event hall. I think that was a lie because now I moved to a darker table in the event hall. I'm playing James, right? He is a Sons of Slambo from San Antonio. He's playing Taker Tribe, correct? And I outdropped, so I'm going to let him take the first turn. This is what it looks like. Alright, so I'm playing it super cautious this game since last time we got smacked in the face on the same scenario. My battle tactic was to run, and I did that right there with 3 units. I did not take any objectives, so we did 10 wounds to the Kraken Eater right in the middle, and we're going into a roll-off for turn 2. You got choice.
I will take the turn.
He's going to take the turn. Nope.
And I played super cautious because I know what snakes are going to do. But now I'm going to just say,
yep.
hell with it, we're going in now.
So all of my good planning it's probably not going to work out, but here we go. All right, so he won the priority and he went. And he took broken ranks on the witches, and you notice they're gone. I kind of messed up. I should have had the Ishlan Guard a little bit further back. Ishlan Guard actually only died to the wound, so that was good, I guess. Now we've got 3 Mega Gargants right there in my face, so we got to figure this out and hopefully kill some Mega Gargants this turn. That's where we're at. Okay, so my turn went probably the better turn I've ever had against Suns. No, I'm sorry, James. We managed to, between all the shooting and magic, I took Bring It Down on the center Gargant. We took that out with the shooting from the bow snakes. We took out his Gatecrasher basically just with the attacks here, and Marathi was able to do 9 wounds there. So we're in a really good spot to take this roll. A 1 to a 4. I'm guessing you're going to take it. All right, he's going to take it a 1 to a 4. It's going into his turn. Oh, the score is 8 to 11 going into 3. All right, so he took Savage Spearhead to get both of his guys in the point. I was able to redeploy with the bows and made it a super long charge. He didn't make the charge. He went in and just killed the Harpies. Marathi took her 3 wounds barely, but to the wound. And she only did, she did a few wounds back. She did like 10 or so, maybe, but she totally whiffed on the wound roll, so, but that's fine. We're going into my turn. The score is 16 to 8, so I got some ground to make up. All right, so turn went good. I scored 7 points. I got Mind Razor off on them. I got the Black Horror. I took Slay the Warlord to kill his general, and we were able to do it. I ended up having to do it with in close combat. Marathi, we got him down to 3 wounds, and I tried to shoot it with Marathi for an extra point, and I failed. Bow Snakes ended up shooting over here. We've got 6 wounds left on the War Stomper, and we're going into the priority for turn 4. 6 to 3. All right, so we're going to talk about this. All right, just cleaning up here. We talked out, basically I won the priority going into the last round, or going into round 4. He had 5-6 wounds left on his Mega, so we just sort of talked it out. We rolled a few dice to see if Marathi could do it. Marathi did. The points at the end was 31 to 16. Then I also got good news. I made top 20 in Best Army, so Best Painted. So I'm going to go to the final judging tomorrow. So good win for me. It was very scary going up against Suns, like it always is with this list. And I didn't even really get a double turn to right at the end, but I was able to, taking out 2 megas in one turn is insane. So I was able to do enough damage to actually pull ahead and come out at the end. I was still behind points by going into turn 4. So good game. We're moving on to game 3 today.
Okay, so if you watch the previous tournament I was in at Atomic, you notice that I played Savage Gains against Soulbot Gravelords, and then I also played Survival of the Fittest against Suns. Like less than about a week before, I had done that same scenarios, and I had lost both those games. So my first matchup, like I said, I played it different, didn't work out, and on this one I played it different, and it did work out. Because one of the big learnings that I had from that game versus TJ was that I couldn't play a middle ground against Suns. You either need to if you're taking the first turn, you set up on the edge and you plan to push in and go full bore in. Of course, you don't know how he's going to deploy. So if he deploys way back, then you're just going to sit there anyway. Or you just sit backwards and say, hey, I'm going to pull way back. I'm going to let you come to me. I'm going to let you get into my ranges. And even though he's going to cap the points, he's going to make a lot of points on the first turn. I'll be able to make that up, hopefully, in the next 2 turns when, you start taking giants off the board. So that was sort of what I went with this time was I'm going to sit back. I'm going to let James go first and then go from there. And just a comment on James. James is a pillar of the community, and I have never played him in a tournament. I've never played him at all. San Antonio guy, but he has been around. I remember meeting him at my very first Age of Sigmar GT. Like, he's been around forever. Everybody in San Antonio knows him. The Sons of Slambo are they're a very fun crew. They're they're always yelling and hooping and hollering, and when you play them, they're generally there to have a good time. It's not stressful. They're usually easygoing, and it's generally always fun game, like this one was. Yeah, it was a good game. I think I made the right choices. I've got good spells off, and taking out 2 megas on my turn 2 was huge, because it was not only did I take out 2 megas, I took out 2 megas and took a third of the wound off another one and had that one locked. The only thing probably, like I said, I could have done different is had my Ishland guard just a little bit back, and they would have probably lived because they wouldn't have been able to get that extra attacks on it. But yeah, I just got lucky and didn't even win priority. I was just set up in a good spot and was able to sort of be there, weather the initial charge, and then do enough damage to start taking him down. Because seriously, guys, Doc does the damage. Like, sisters next to Marathi with Mind Razor, they'll drop a mega. Like, even an all-out defense mega, they usually will drop. You think about that, and then the bow snakes double shooting into another mega or the same one, whatever you're picking, is just they do the work. You just can't be like me and not play them right. You got to be cautious, I guess. All right, so we're 1-1, and we're moving into game number 3 of the GT.
We are game 3. We're 1-1. We're playing the Vice, and we're playing, friend of the channel, Chris, with his Castelai. Not a fan of playing Castelai again, but at least the Vice, it keeps us separated for a minute or two, I guess. He's outflanking a good chunk over there. A unit of Grave Guard, unit of zombies, and a unit of knights. Well, I'm sorry. In the grave is the Grave Guard and the zombies. The knights are in outflank. I've set up like this. Trying something a little different? Sure, why not? And I'm going to take the first turn because I'm going to get a battle tactic and get some points and then call it a day on that. All right, in this scenario, I went ahead and went first. I went a Monsters Takeover, and the reason I did that, my thought process is like, hey, I could possibly short on a lot of tactical objectives, so take the one that is given. I can also do a run next turn if it's far enough back. So I took Monsters Takeover Marathi. I popped these guys. I inched up a little bit, but the Eagles are way over there taking that point. We've sort of screened out the back. We've looked at everything. The only way that the only person that can come out are the Knights over in that corner with a 9-inch charge. So screened out well, just basically collecting some points. I scored 4. Right, going into Chris's turn, number 1. All right, so Chris basically cast some spells, and I was out of range to dispel anything. He moved. He did first advance with the 3 units. He got metamorphosis off for his extra points, so he's leading me 5-2 right now, or 5-4. He brought the zombies out of this grave right here, and didn't pull anything else. He still got Graveguard and a unit over there. We're going into the roll-off, and he's out of 24, so that's a cock for me. 4-4. I get a choice. I'm going to think about it, and then we're going to go. All right, Chris had his turn. He decided to bring everything out of the grave. He brought zombies. He brought the Graveguard. These guys came out of outflank. He sort of shuffled up, shuffled over. He took Monster's Takeover of the Vingorian Lord to hold that point. Zombies were able to move into an automatic pile-in range. They did that. Wolves charged and made it. Had a pretty good combat in my favor with the Wolves. Ended up killing 6. He killed 4 in return after Battle Shock. He killed 2 of the Harpies with the zombies and auto passed them. Going into Doc turn 2, the score is 9-4. Alright, my turn was not bad. I picked Killer Battle Line unit. I picked the Wolves right in the middle. I was able to do that with Marathi. Felt all of my casting. Moved the Harpies out of combat. Shuffled people up. The Island Guard are capping that point and holding that grave site. So this turn I was able to kill his zombies and his dire wolves. He's going to roll for bringing something. All right.
So 5 off.
Nothing comes back. He did. I had a lot of issues getting the zombies cleared over here, and I wasn't able to really get crazy with Marathi. But the shooting I did. Was able to kill 2 Blood Knights over there. We're going to go into a priority roll-off for turn 3. 3-4.
I'll take it.
He's going to take it. All right. All right, Chris wrapped up his turn. He's bringing out his 10 zombies that he brought back. Yeah, pretty good turn. He took Savage to get 2. He got 2 monsters in my territory, so he got an extra point for that. Did not charge with the Zangorian Lord. He charged with Vordre. Vordre killed all the... Actually, there was 1 witch left alive, but I let her run because this combat didn't go as great as I would like to. I killed 1, and there's 1 with a wound on it. It's okay. He stayed out of Marathi's area, so didn't pile in. He did the cheeky, hey, I'm going to run across the board and pile in 6. So he actually took that point, and he got into combat with no overwatch with the snakes. Only killed 1.5. They returned. They killed a couple themselves. So now we're going into my turn. My turn to 3. All right. Chris is rolling to see if he brings something back. Basically, I was able to kill the Blood Knights over here. Magic didn't go very well, and my shooting near hero phase didn't go well, so I wasn't able to clear the hounds and shooting. I had to actually use both shootings to kill the dogs. I took Conquer to take that point back, which I did. And Marathi came in. We tried to kill the Vingorian Lord. I know it's our finest hour. I know it's hard to kill the Vingorian Lord in close combat. Did 4 total wounds that turn on the Vingorian Lord. So, I mean, it's a start. You got to start whittling that thing down. The big thing is did you roll to bring back?
No, it's on a 5 up, bring something back.
Nope. And going into a priority roll right here. And I'm going to take it. All right, finished up my turn. Really good turn. I took killed the Warlord. I didn't do it with Marathi. I did it with the Bow Snakes. Took the Vingorian Lord down, and then we were able, the rest of the army, just to whittle, and we took Vordre off the board. We took the center point. We only scored 5. We also was able to charge over here and wrap up these guys with Marathi. She didn't do too much, but we're going into Chris's turn 4 right now. All right, we're almost out of time. Chris finished up his turn. He took Broken Ranks to kill the unit right here. He did. I managed to keep the point in the middle. We're going to go and do a roll-off to see what happens. And then, so the score right now is 18-17. We got 10 minutes to play. He brought his Wolves back. It was a pretty close turn. I did a redeploy with Marathi. He got Lycan Curse off on, so he shut down an Overwatch. It was almost getting in there. Now we're going to roll off for 2 and 6, and you're going to take it. All right, we're going to talk out and see what's going to happen.
Strategy.
All right, so it came down to 1 point. Chris won in the last second. We're getting tapped on the shoulder to hurry up. Basically, it came down to, hey, I had to kill his Blood Knights to deny him his grand strategy. I was not able. I did make my grand strategy, so I kept the battle line alive for 2 different games. The final score was 23 to 24. Yeah, 23 to 24. So super close. Man, it was a slugfest. And yeah, it came down to a couple wounds, a couple little plays here and there, and I knew it was going to be close at the end. If I'd have got the priority on that last turn, which is fine, I didn't get it. I would have been able to get enough points that turn to lock him out, and it would have been a win. But that's what it is. 1 point difference right there. Hey, got all 5 battle tactics. Got a grand strategy. Can't complain. I mean, super close game. Intense. Good job.
We'll see you all.
All right, so 2 games first day, and 2 of them were against. Well, I had 3 games first day. 2 were against Chris's, and 2 were against Soul Blight Castelli. This one was super close. Obviously, anytime you win priorities and stuff, you can say it's a dice roll. Could have won the game. It really did come down to that last dice roll. If I would have won priority, I would have got so far ahead on points, he wouldn't have been able to catch up. Also, it's funny, he won by 1 point. That was the point. I told him off camera during the game, I'm like, if you win by a point, I'll be mad because of the metamorphosis. He actually got that cast off to get that extra point in that first round, and that's really what saved him. I played this, I thought, pretty solid. Personally, there was probably a few little tweaks at the end. I could have done better with Marathi on that center point and positioning things. Possibly kept the snakes back a little bit further so they didn't get locked in close combat as easy. But at the end of the day, it was a loss, but it was a close game. It was one of those games where it was very exhausting because you're at the end of the day anyway. But we slugged it out, and I'm once again, if you're gonna lose to somebody you like, lose to a good opponent, and that's what it was. Still managed to rack up a good amount of points even in a loss. So even though I have 2 losses, 1 win at this point, I'm still feeling good just about my overall standings because I was able to generate a lot of points for all 3 of my early games. So one last thing I want to touch up before I wrap up the video, and I'm probably going to say it early on part 2 as well. Ladies and gentlemen, probably one of the best things happened during this whole tournament, especially the first day, was I had a bunch of strangers to me, come up and tell me how much they appreciate the channel, how they watch the videos, how that, hey, I'm a new Soulbot player and I'm watching all your stuff, or hey, I enjoy your battle reports. It teaches me and that made me feel very good. It makes you feel like, hey, whatever I'm doing here has some worth. So if you're one of those guys, and I'm going to mess up everybody's names, I believe it was Dan, Joel, there was two other gentlemen. Sorry, I was inundated with meeting new people and new names, but guys, like it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is helping somebody somewhere. So as long as it's helping and somebody's enjoying it, I'm gonna keep doing it. And feel free, like everyone else, if you see me at a GT, like guys, I'm approachable. Come say hi. If I've got time and I'm not interrupting your game, like I'll sit and chat with you about whatever you want to talk about, and that's just, it's a great community here in Texas, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the content that I'm providing. And, like I said, feel free anytime, come up and tell me what's up. And, yeah, so thanks guys. Thanks for watching. That being said, that's all I got for part 1. We're going to come back in part 2, and we're going to have the last couple games, and we'll talk about the overall feelings of the event. So as always, thanks for watching, and y'all be good.